Now, let me tell you, Dr. Stephanie Burridge is not just a dance educator, she is a dance powerhouse. With over 40 years of experience, she has worn every hat: performer, choreographer, researcher, writer, mentor, curator, and international speaker. Let's rewind to where it all began. In Australia, for 23 years, Stephanie was the artistic director of Canberra Dance Theatre, a position that was part of shaping the contemporary dance landscape of Australia. She took what was once a small university-based group and transformed it into a nationally recognized company, blending bold artistic works with strong community outreach. Under her leadership, CDT became known for its inclusive programming, working with Australia's leading choreographers, composers, and visual artists. She championed multicultural and intergenerational dance long before it was popular. Her choreographic works, such as Softer to Remember and Unceremonious Processions, are still talked about, with the former restaged for CDT's 40th anniversary. She worked alongside with some of Australia's most respected artists, including Anke Frankenhauser, Patrick Hardinger, and Liz Lear. Her commitment to community-based artistry was always grounded in professional excellence, bridging dance with real, everyday people. She also received some of Australia's highest arts honours, including the inaugural Choreographic Fellowship from the Australia Council and the Lifetime Achievement Award, a huge recognition of her contribution to the field. Oof. And she is also, in Asia Pacific, the series editor for Ruth Leisure's Celebrity Dance in Asia and the Pacific. She published 9 volumes, spotlighting the dance cultures of Cambodia, India, Malaysia, Singapore, and beyond. Her book Beyond the Aspera remains one of the most comprehensive works on Cambodian dance revival after the Khmer Rouge. Her most recent title, That's On Dancing Through Life, again, that was an amazing book, okay? It beautifully echoes one of our beliefs here in free movement, that dance is for everybody at every age and every stage of life. Now we talked about Australia and all, let's come back to Singapore. Here in Singapore, Dr. Stephanie works at LASALLE College of the Arts and for 15 years at Singapore Management University. She mentors postgraduate dance students, dance research scholars, and continues to perform, choreograph, and write. In fact, some of her students are right outside here and all around here. Her artistic works have been showcased at M1 Contact Bowl Festival, Singapore International Festival of Arts, and also Stephanie Burridge was the SYF judge before. There are certain competitions and dance competitions that she has judged at, and right now, Stephanie Burridge has also paintings and multimedia works here in Singapore and the galleries. Now, at Free Movement, we believe in inclusivity, self-expression, and freedom through movement, and Dr. Stephanie embodies all of that. She's shown us that dance is more than just a performance. It's culture, identity, and connection. So please, join me in welcoming the biggest, most heartfelt welcome to the dance icon, visionary educator, culture connector, and a true force of nature, Dr. Stephanie Burridge.
Hey. Oh, Sandra, thank you. I don't have to say anything now. We can really pray for Kristen. She said so many things. First of all, welcome to everybody here and the people tuning in overseas. And a huge congratulations to Sandra. I think that the studio looks amazing. And also, I think it's really something that you can look at as something you can do in dance. And I suppose when you've been in dance a long time, people are interested how you can keep going, what do you do, what can you do. And I think that I've done a lot of things in dance. But when you look at what Sandra's doing as well, I mean, it's showing you with a bit of imagination, entrepreneurial risk-taking, huge risk-taking. You can create another pathway in dance as well and bring people in that way. So there are many things we can do in dance. So for me, anyone here 4 years old? No. I was going to say I started when I was 4 years old, so 1 year older than Noel. I did my first performance at the Theatre Royal in Hobart, and that was very very instrumental in me continuing my journey in dance, because the Theatre Royal in Hobart is the oldest surviving theatre in Australia. So it's like Covent Garden with the red velvet and the painted ceiling and very old style theatre. And can you imagine a 4-year-old in a giant tutu, and those that nearly came up to my ears? Because the mums used to sew the tutus in those days. None of all pay Sandra to make one. Everybody had to make them. So it was quite a community activity. And my mum couldn't sew, so she had to help the lady next door. So she did things like dye the shoes, sew the ribbons on, make the headdress, whatever she could without actually getting out the sewing machine. And I think also when I was 4, we had a Russian teacher who came from the Soviet system at that time, but then left to Australia with the Bolavansky company that then became the Australian Ballet Company. And with his name is Misha Savensky. He's quite well known. There's write-ups of him. And with him, he brought the repertoire of the Ballet Russe. So he brought the repertoire of Petrushka, of many ballets that, iconic versions of Swan Lake or things like that. So to me, that was is amazing. I often think, well, 4-year-olds, they have to be very user-friendly in what they do. But boy, we were doing Petrushka, we were doing all these amazing things. And I was a small kid. I remember I was a snowflake, so we had to run around the big girls going like this, round, and back again. So, I was absolutely sold. So I think one of the questions was, how did you decide dedicate yourself to dance? Well, I don't think you really think about it. At this age, you're doing it, you're in it. And it becomes your identity. So I started when I was 4, never stopped, still doing it. So it's really an inbuilt identity. In fact, somebody asked me, a junior college girl, she sort of said, oh, when did you decide you were going to make a career in the arts? And I found that difficult to answer because, you in a way, if you're dedicated, you're an artist, you are an artist. You're not sort of standing back objectively saying, I'm going to do this. You are, So it's quite an embodied experience. So that was 4. And I think, as Sandra said, I've done many things in dance. But really from the time I was really small, I wanted to be a choreographer, actually. And that's what I really wanted to do. And I was one of those 5-year-olds that would put on a show on the lawn at the house and charge whoever was coming by, some money to watch. And so we put on shows and, I was very interested in making up and creating dance right from the beginning, at the same time as actually performing dance. So the journey as it goes on, with the company, I was artistic director, and I started doing it as very young, actually, compared with people now. I was 23, started the company, and we were very lucky. And between that, I went to overseas. I trained at the Larvin Centre, and then I came back to Australia, and I was invited to come to the university group, which Sandra mentioned, and develop it, which I did, into Canberra Dance Theatre. And so we had amazing dancers and choreographers and people working with the company over the years. And some of them I'm still in contract with. I mean, when I didn't do the Dance On book, I made a film with a dancer that was in my company, decades ago. She danced with Maurice Bajam, and then she came to work with my company. And so she's in LA now, so we made a film, not in Sandra's studio, but we could, we filmed across and shared the film, and we made that for a book launch. So it just shows you over so many years that people are connected around the world. So that's really special. So I had the company for a long time, and again, my passion for choreographing and performing, and, but also during that time, as a choreographer, I choreographed many themes. So for any dance, it's here. Be versatile, be curious. Don't just say I'm a contemporary dance, I'm a ballet dance, or I'm a tap dance, music theatre. You do it all. Like some of the most fun things I did in my life, like I love choreographing musicals. So I choreographed a lot of musicals, working with full orchestras and professionals, from the Australian opera singers, people like that. Choreographed a lot of television. choreographed, fashion shows, hair shows. I can't count them eating. And another thing I did, which I'm really proud of, I choreographed before Olympic Games, the Australian gymnastic team, the women's glow routines and beam routines. So I working with gymnasts. So, and I choreographed ice skating routine. I don't know. So, and there's so many things you can do in dance, really. So, the writing part really, I think as a choreographer, you're interested in stories and human emotion. And so I really started writing because I was talking to a whole lot of dancers in Cambodia after the Pol Pot regime. There not many of the old masters survived. So some of the dancers there were working with tradition, but they really wanted to do contemporary dance. So they called me over to do some workshops and stuff, yeah. And there was such a joy working with them. They had nothing. Like they moved the dance school 10 kilometers further down the road, and half of them couldn't go anymore because they couldn't afford the extra gas in their bike tank to get to the extra seat. So then luckily some people came in and helped them. But they're so poor, honestly, but amazing dancers. They could do their traditional dance, but they're interested in contemporary. And so I thought their stories were amazing. So I thought, well, we should write down these stories. They shouldn't be lost. So really that's how the book series started. And all of the books have got chapters in them about the country and so on, but these things called artist voices, where the artists are talking about their work and what they feel about dance, so they're very compelling to read, those stories. And so it really started as I thought, and luckily enough, I got Routledge, a major publisher, was willing to publish it. And as soon as we took the Cambodian book in, they said, oh, would you like to do a series? And I'd never written a book before. I got, well, okay. So off we went, and we got, there's a marvelous organization. I've just been in Hong Kong with this organization called the World Dance Alliance. And we have networks all around the world. And so particularly the Asia Pacific region. So I was interacting with a lot of people, like in Taiwan and people. So people came on board. And for example, the Taiwan book, we had Lin Ka-min involved writing the foreword. So you had really amazing people. So as soon as you have really good people, everybody else would want to be involved. So they sort of snowballed. So after that, they've got other books as well. And so they really come from people's stories and things that I think are important. And in Singapore, we need a lot more writing. We really do. So if you're a dancer, you need to write. And you dancers are very reluctant to write. And I think it's really silly because, first of all, if you're a dancer, you have to write your grant application, you have to write your program note, you have to write your social media. Really, so we're in a world very saturated with writing. You have to do your blog and to keep up with your TikTok or whatever it is. So all these things require beyond dance. So dancers today have to be very, very multitasking. All right, so I think we'll have some Q&A. I've done 18 books, but this, if you're a young choreographer, this one is a really great one, okay? So I wrote this one, Jenny Roche. She's at the University of Limerick now, but she used to be in Queensland. And so this is a really great book on young people, and it's aimed at junior college, actually. How do you start choreographing? How do you start? And what are some pathways and things like that. Then this book is a Singapore dance book. Who's on the front? Who's that? Where's the company on the front? Anyone know? Who's the dance company on the front? I'm doing an audience dialogue with them tomorrow, actually, at the Esplanade. Who's THE company? Goodness me. Okay, the thing that worries me about Singapore, you've got to go see things, Like when I was a young dancer, we had no money. Honestly, we'd hitchhike. I mean, I don't think you should do that. If there was a show we wanted, like Beja Cup, it was in Paris, I was living in London. Wow, we're going to see Beja. Wow, we have to. This will change your life, seeing Beja. As here, people don't go on the road to see somebody else perform, and it's a bit sad. I've found that. it's something you have to really think about if you're going to have a career in dance, to open all the time. And this book I'm really proud of, this book, Dance Access Inclusion. This is writing about people with different diverse abilities, dance. And this is Kanduko Company on the cover, who's very, very famous. I was here last year. Did anyone go see Kanduko? No, okay. So there you are, the most world-famous company working with people with diverse abilities. And so again, they very generously gave us their cover photo and supported the book. And so this is really amazing. Like this has got programs that the Royal Ballet do, for example, with people with diverse abilities, different companies around the world. And how they, working in different ways, both as performers and also in this book, there's something about Singapore, different programs here in Singapore. So anyway, that's only great. I've done 18 books now, and so they're all got amazing stories. So for me, it's the stories. Okay, Sandra, I think that's enough talking, isn't it? Do you want to ask a question or body ask question?
Does anybody here have any questions that you want to ask Dr. Stephanie? Any questions at all? I had a question. So I really like how you talked about versatility and learning different styles and exposing yourself. But how have you been make the balance between getting really good or getting really into something and perfecting it or perfecting it to as much as you can versus kind of like spreading out and then trying a little bit of everything?
That's a really interesting question. In the old days, when I did dance, there was a real split between the ballet and the contemporary. Like they would say the ballet people, don't do contemporary, it'll damage your feet, it'll damage your spine, it'll do all of that. And then the contemporary people, and then my dad did Martha Graham technique, which was just as strict, if not more strict than ballet, because you went from the floor to it was really hard work, and they were the same. Don't do ballet, you'll weaken your knees, you've got to... so thank goodness those days have gone. And it really went with the contemporary work of people like LASALLE and people that started to bring the ballet and the contemporary together. In Burridge, very famous dance people that really did amazing choreography that mixed these things together. In the end, the body is your instrument, So I would say if you're young and you want to be a ballet dancer, and you probably be able to talk about this, that if you're not doing point work regularly, you're not going to make it. I mean, point work's not something you can come and go at, really. It's really hard work. So if you're going to do that, so I think even for me, most of us did, like I did already ballet up to, intermediate advanced level before I went into contemporary. So I think there's a point in your life you've got to really work hard at something, whatever it is, because that's your toolbox. But you find, particularly people in Asia that do cultural classical dance, like Khmer classical or Japanese classical dance form, and then they mix it with contemporary later. They end up with very interesting moving vocabulary, but they still have a very strong grounding with the body. Like in the end, you've got to train. If you're serious about being a professional dancer, you've got to train your body very hard. It's like if you're an athlete or a swimmer, or there's no middle ground. And, when you get a bit older, so I think that, when you're young, that. But I think you can probably do it with a variety of things as well. But I think the aesthetics are different too. So again, ballet emphasizes very long lines and very extreme flexibility, which something like hip hop does it, for example. So it's the same if you try and get a Khmer or a taekwondo dancer to do the splits, they find that difficult because their whole thing is being like this and plie. So different aesthetics have different requirements. So, you have to be clear, go the pathway that you want to explore and work hard at it. Yeah, to be honest, it's easier for men. Like, men can start late, and we have many examples of men that particularly even started during their NS, that they never did dance before, and they end up in the Singapore Ballet. Unfortunately, for the women, that's much more competitive. You need the point shoes, you need the technique, you need the leg up there. That's how it is. So, speaking of illness. Yeah, okay. More questions? Say.
I've actually need to. So I understand that you've done some research with regards to like the development dance and like the inclusivity and focusing on different cultures around the Asia region. I just want to know, like, is there a specific focus you look at when you are going through this research, and what kind of avenues you take when you are like looking for data or like
Okay, just I can answer that. Yeah. Should I so this question? No, let's just do one first. Yeah. All right. I think in fact, I was just in Hong Kong last week getting a workshop to students there on exactly that. You know, how do you go about doing these books? And for me, it's always working with the people. So when I do the books, I'm working with somebody in the country. So, for example, I didn't go into Cambodia and I don't know anything about my Cambodia dance when I first arrived, but I was invited because what I can do is facilitate things. So I work with the people. So straight away I work with an organisation called Burridge Performing Arts that perform. They have an infrastructure. They're funded by the Robbie Geller Foundation when they work. And they have the dancers there. So they invite me and then I work with them to see what they want to do, and then we do what I call framing out the books, you know, so how it's going to be designed, what the chapters are going to be. Hello, come in. Yeah, join in. So and that one too, I actually interviewed Princess Bukadevi as part of that as well. So the whole, from the royal family down to the dancers that couldn't afford to get to the bike were involved in it, you know, so we become like a community. So to me, creating a book, or I just done one now, it becomes like a community where, you know, you decide who's doing the chapters, they invite people, they discuss what their ideas, what they want to do. So and certainly it's very bottom up, not top down type thing. Yeah, so it's quite interesting, and every place is different. Like some places, they have editors that would, have a lot of university colleagues. Often they come out of a university system, you know, like TNUA in Taiwan. They had quite a few writers, but then I can identify gaps and invite other people as well. Yay, there's no Sanya, but yeah. So it's sort of really working with people a lot. Yeah. Okay, another question? Yeah. I'll come back to your second one. What is it? Demographic person. Yeah? Okay.
Just want to ask, right? Because my belly, like teachers, they were asked like for me to join a competition, like either get a bid or evolution competition. What will you tell in adults who want to go for competition about choreography? Because I see a lot of adults, I teach adults before, they want to learn ballet, they love dancing, but just that when it comes to competition, they have to stay on point shoes, they have to face the stage. Difficult. You advise the adults.
Yeah, I'm going to say something a bit radical here that some of you may not agree with, but basically dance was always about community and about coming together. It was never about one person can do it better than the next person. And unfortunately, you know, if you look at all traditional tribal dance, they're dancing together. The point of the dance is people, you know, dance together and have an energy and have a thing like that. So Singapore is very, I think it comes right from the education from every way, every part of life here, that as soon as you're doing something, it's got to be competition and some sort of assessment, some sort of a thing. That's parents send their kids to creative dance. Now, what are they doing wrong around the floor? You know, kind of want to be neat. So that's that. So it's quite a lot of that. So I think it's in the mindset. So that's the first thing, and very, very difficult. The only thing you can do, people could get extremely hurt if, that you say, well, you're not good enough to go in the competition. And clever teachers and choreographers try to do things like put them in the back row or make them lead on a particular part, or I don't know. If you're a clever choreographer, you can try to work with this mindset a bit more. But it's very pervasive. It's very hard. So I think in your situation, I have to get a very clever choreographer that can do something. The other thing with the competition assessment mindset, you become very technique orientated, and technique's very unforgiving. If people are happy to sit in a chair and do something emotional, or just like I'm doing now, something a bit more reflective, but they're not. They want to. So it's I don't know if anybody saw it, but I did a beautiful show last year called The Running Show at the Esplanade, and the choreographers in the UK were just marvelous. Like, they had the audience in tears, and really the kids they were doing sparked up, but really they certainly found an emotional depth for what I was doing as an older dancer that really touched the audience. And I think it's possible to do that with great choreography. And it's something I think we should try to get more for the older dancers. In fact, I've done a lot of work with older dancers, not so much here, but in Australia, there's a company called Made Dance Theatre. I did a show with them. And really, there was a lady in their 80s. But we made a dance theatre script. See, that's the other thing we don't have much on in Singapore, dance theatre. As soon as you have dance theatre, you can make it more theatrical. You can slow it down. People can sing a song if they're a singer. They can, can mix up the dynamics a bit more. But as soon as you've got the line, you're out of time, you're on the line, you're not in keeping time with somebody else, it's very unforgiving, that sort of choreography that unfortunately we see a lot of right through the schools, right through. So, look at the choreography and try to talk it that way. But very good question and really difficult. I know it. I would. Yeah. Okay. We're going Rock. Your second question?
Because I'm actually entering university soon and for like a bachelor's degree for dance course.
I got to take the camera, but can't speak.
I'm entering NAFA soon.
I'll go do that.
The performance making bachelor's course.
Yeah, great.
I understand that their approach is very interdisciplinary, and to be quite frank, I also want to include a lot of my own experiences and what I've learned from interacting with other people in school. Any kind of creative works that I'm continuing to create in the future. But I am also worried that from having too many ideas, I tend to get very overwhelmed. So is there like a specific strategy to like kind of mitigate? Is that the...
I think that when you will go there, there'll be a lot of opportunities. Usually when you study choreography in an institution, it becomes quite task-based, so the task sort of system in a way will hone in what, obviously can't do everything. And I think the teachers are there. In the book, Karen Camino, who's the head of that, wrote that Singapore book together with me. So, but they're very, the love of students are very, very encouraged to be creative as they can and bring as many ideas as they can. But, you also got to frame up your ideas as well so that not every idea is the whole thing the whole time, But write them all down. Don't forget them. They will all turn up somewhere along the way. That's great. Oh, sorry, are we on time?
Yes,
That's good.
any more questions? Anybody have any more questions?
Could I enter one final line? So, in the area of disabled arts, dancing especially, we're having problems because our teachers are mostly non-disabled. Yes, sure. So the issue we are finding, we're making things up as we go on. And I'm saying that probably the potential for disabled arts can be much greater if we had the right teachers. But anybody aware of any teaching school for disabled?
No, I mean, there's not at the moment. That's the problem. Again, the problem is Singapore. Basically, you got NAF, LASALLE, they're really pretty well doing the same thing with a few, give it. But there's a huge area. And for any young dancers here, I really think you're missing major career opportunities. Like, this is a massive sector, the health, well-being, social sector moving forward. Like, Singapore is spending a massive amount of money, but we can't find trained teachers, to do that. And you've got to look for people that have got some empathy, some experience on, there's a couple, like Kavita and with her group, dance song, DADC. So there's a few, and how you've already gone over there. But, I think it's something, and also I think it's got to be more an individual approach as well. But the other thing too is not everybody did, I'm disabled, up on MS. So when they did my show about me at the Esplanade, it was really brought people to tears. And it said, look, I'm a dancer, I can do this, I can't do that, can't do that. So I think looking at the diversity of disabilities, I think the problem in Singapore too, the disability sector is frontlined by people with very obvious disabilities. Whereas, if you look at the company Kanduko on the cover of that, like Kanduko was started by a dancer who was in the company with Patrick and Anchor that I worked with. And she had a terrible fall in the performance. And she became paraplegic and she never walked again. But she was a professional dancer. So, see, that's what I mean is, and then it took her a long time to come out and say, look, I really want to do something. And then Restless Dance Company in Australia is another really dear friend of mine. There's also got multiple sclerosis. She's in a wheelchair, Michelle Ryan. And again, but she was a full professional dancer. And so you've got to try and find, people that have some experience of disability, but they don't necessarily have autism or Down syndrome or those obvious disabilities. And I think in Singapore where we haven't found those people yet, but I'm sure they're around. I'm sure there are people around that have that could contribute, that could make up a stronger sort of baseline. And also teach as well, like even if in a wheelchair, you can teach dance, so try to find more. There's, I think I wouldn't go so far as to say that there, but I do think that there's certain sorts of people that people associate with the disability sector, whereas I think it could be much broader, people that have disabilities for sure, but they're capable. See, I think all disabilities is all about what you can do, not what you can't do. What you can do. So if my left leg doesn't work right now, like I've had sometime my left leg doesn't work, and I've been performing with Colleen and people, and I've had to say, Colleen, look, if I can't get up off the floor, you have to help me up because I simply can't get up off the floor because my leg doesn't work. So, but it doesn't mean I can't do anything. I could make a dance here right now. We'd probably all watch Christina. But so that's for me. I think it has to broaden out a lot more. And I don't know how you find those people, but I think that's the answer, really make it a lot broader. And I think the tertiary institutions, I think NAFA now has a module in teaching people with, I don't know if they call it diverse abilities, but they have a module that for a few weeks the students can experience that. But then, of course, do they want to take it up? I think you're more likely to get older dancers because when you're young, you want to dance, you want to perform, you want to do all this stuff. So are you looking at the next generation coming on that are more likely to want to teach and to get involved than the younger generation? And they're more likely to stick with it too, which is what we need. Yeah, but a really great question. And anybody that knows people, that's, I think it's something that we have to go out and get more people and broaden it out. And I think part of it will be the shows, like the show they did is really excellent. That was great that you did at the Gateway, what is called the big show with Claire. And yeah, see, I think if people start to see shows like Kanduko perform, we need a lot more performing. We need a lot more diverse performing with, able-bodied, disabled people working together and making shows that are going on at the Esplanade and things so people can actually see it. Right now they can't really see what it is or how it's going to work. So I think the visibility is really important as well. I think we can talk more about that with you guys as well. But yeah. Oh, okay. Anything else?
Is any questions? Okay, let's see.
Yes?
Hi. That's lovely.
Thank you.
And couple experience. Oh, wow.
And there's a studio out there named after me, so I didn't audit it, but I maybe she going to take the sign down. I don't know. Well, if you want to do a tour out in there, we can have some people in there. That's lovely.
Yeah. So, wanted to surprise Dr. Stephanie Burridge with the dance studio named after her. So we got Studio Burridge, which is just next door here.
So fantastic things are going to happen in that studio.